the Test series so far, it's 1-1. 10 Test match days. I reckon India have won 9 of them.
Pants in, like you say, within a few balls, he'd ran down the pitch. He'd lobbed his bat about 30 yards. He'd ended up on one knee, slog sweeping Josh Tongue, I think.
Jofra, pavilion and nipping it down the slope. Shubman Gill on the shin.
Yeah.
That's why he's been brought back
Kicking well,
in.
mate. Unlucky Shubbers.
I'm Stuart Broad. He's Jos Butler.
Broady, good to see you. You've been busy. Edgbaston, Silverstone, Wimbledon. Where do you want to start?
It was about this time last week, Wimbledon, actually. So, yeah, went on the Monday with Molly and then up to Edgbaston. Then, yeah, the Thursday night, I think it was, I got a message saying, could you go to Silverstone tomorrow to interview Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri? So I was like, ooh, okay, yeah, can do. Don't really, about what type thing, but, which was quite cool. But Wimbledon was a great experience, actually. I wouldn't say I'm like the biggest tennis fan in the world, but I think when you see Alcaraz that close, first day of Wimbledon, amazing experience.
Yeah, pretty cool. So you're in the Royal Box. Tell us all about that. There must have been a few famous faces in there. So you sat behind a pretty well-known footballer.
I thought about you the moment Sir David Beckham walked in, came over to our table, started handshaking, and he's had an operation on his hand. I think it was last week I was telling the Jamie Redknapp story where I'd sort of grabbed his hand and just shook it really awkwardly. So he's walking around with this cast on his hand again. I'm thinking, oh my goodness me, if Jos could see this. And I called it first. He put his hand out, shook my hand, and I went, I'll do it lightly, and just sort of calmly, like, what's the weird way of saying it? Not stroked it, but just, calmly shook his hand, and then we sat.
It doesn't sound good, to be honest, even like a calm,
I think it was awkward just because I was thinking about you the whole time.
Yeah.
Then he just sat in front of us, and, we had a really nice day. Baking hot. You know, I wore a light blue shirt. You know, where you can't take your jacket off just because it's an absolute disgrace underneath it.
Yeah, that's a shocker, isn't it? But for the people who obviously have never been in the Royal Box, what's it like? Set the scene. How does it all work? It's
the most incredible, like beautiful, as you can imagine Wimbledon to be, just perfection, flowers everywhere, just so classy everywhere. And you walk past the trophies as you walk in up the stairs, and you sit down for a 2-course meal, or 3-course meal, actually, starter, main and strawberries and cream. But you have to be in your seat by 1:15 for the players to welcome the players out to the court. So it was amazing. It's actually, I can, you know, Lords has got that beauty to it, that sort of history, but still really up to date and modern and stylish. Wimbledon is perfection at that. There's so much history around you, but everything is really up to date and stunning. You're normally a Wimbledon guy, aren't you? You've not made it.
No, I didn't get the invite this year, but no, I've been a couple of times, and you're right. It's such a special experience. Like I say, nothing is out of place. Anyone else in the box you were sort of starstruck by, or cool names?
I mean, anytime you in the same postcode of Sir David Beckham is pretty cool, isn't it? So yeah, I was. And what I would say, when he walked in a very similar suit to me, I was absolutely buzzing. I was like, I've got this right if he's considered wearing anything similar to me. And not that he's considered wearing anything similar to me. What's the right of saying that? We were wearing something quite similar. Not that he knew what I was wearing, but that was. You know, he's iconic, isn't he? I was on the same lunch table as Sir Gareth Southgate as well, so he was in good form.
Nice.
Eddie Redmayne and his wife, lovely guy. It's beautiful experience. And then going to Silverstone.
So is that for Sky? Is that a Sky sort of link?
Yeah. So they sort of
or is that the England Australia Norris Piastri kind of vibe?
Bit of that, but then actually leading into the interview, they didn't want England, Australia necessarily talked about because they're teammates. They don't want to be seen as rivals, etc. So I knew I had about 4.5 minutes, and I was quite nervous, to be honest, as you would be, given a microphone. Okay, you got 4.5 minutes with two of the top World Championship drivers in Formula One, walk and talk, sort of try and link it to cricket if you can, because we're going to show it on the cricket channel, but don't mention England, Australia. So it's like, ooh, okay, they were brilliant. Honestly, they were really cool. I think when you meet people like sports people who are still playing, and you get you enjoy their time, you just want them to do really well, don't you? So I was delighted that they both drove well on Sunday.
Right, enough of that. Let's get into the cricket. An amazing test again at Edgbaston this week. 5 days, India coming out on top. What was it like? What was it like to be there? How well did they play? Tell us a bit about the week.
I think they were 10 out of 10. India. I think sometimes in Test match cricket, when you get such a one-sided result, it's easy to be really critical of the other team, which is England at this time. But I'd actually lean against that. I think India were just superb. Put into bat on, I think Stokesy probably would admit that was the wrong call, misread the pitch, because it just looked a sort of a slow, dry surface on day one. And 587 was it? First innings, Shubman Gill 269. Honestly looked like he could have got Lara's record. He was just cruising. It just didn't look like anything could trouble him. And there's always a bit of a nervousness when you put into bat that you could be 30 for 3 and really under the pump. But England were okay that first morning, didn't do anything badly, maybe a bit unlucky. Chris Woakes, you saw he get quite frustrated, 2 or 3 umpires' calls that could have gone England's way, but didn't. But once Gill got in, goodness me, that moved to 4. Spent most of his career so far opening the batting, averaging sort of 30. Has moved to number 4 since Virat Kohli's retired and gone, 100, big double, big 150, just awesome. And looks like he's got no weaknesses at all. When he was young when I was bowling at him, admittedly, but I always felt if I could get the right line to nip back through the gate, that was a really good option to him. But he looks like he's really covering that line and doesn't feel like the LBW is in the game so much. So, and once you get 580 odd on the board, you know what that's like. You're just controlling everything from there. And England didn't get going apart from Jamie Smith and Harry Brook, which was just, again, it was the most, I don't like saying the word baseball, but it was the most Brendan McCullum and Ben Stokes team's scorecard you've ever seen. 6 noughts with a partnership of 303. And kept England in the game for a period of time, So I think it had a bit of everything, because coming day 5, England couldn't win the game. I don't think any of us thought that England were going to go and chase 600, particularly with Ruti in the sheds, but definitely could have drawn it. 100% could have drawn it. I had to bat 80 odd overs that final day because of the rain. So I think they'll be a bit disappointed they didn't manage to do that, actually, because there was nothing in the surface that was a really sort of worn 5th day pitch. Harry Brook got a goodie off a crack, but I think England will be disappointed they didn't show a little bit more graft in the defence, I suppose.
I think just sort of from watching it, there's those moments, aren't there, in the game where you need those little things to go your way. You mentioned winning the toss and bowling, Chris Woakes being lucky or unlucky with the umpire's calls. The batter feels aggrieved if it goes against them, and as you would as a bowler as well. So at that point, like you say, if England had won the toss, had India 30 for 3, you'd say it's the right call. Had India 200 for 5, again, you think there's another opportunity there. And like you say, Gill and Jadeja played fantastically well, and they lengthened the batting a bit, didn't they, with Washington Sundar as well. We put on another really good performance, a partnership alongside Shubman Gill, and to get up to 580 odd. It was like where they learnt those lessons a little bit from the first game, wasn't it? They got into some brilliant positions, but sort of against this England team, you need to drive it home even more than you perhaps would before. And the sort of hunger and determination from Gill to score a massive double, and then to come out again in the second innings and make that. And obviously, becoming captain, there's a lot talked about his record. He's a better player than his record was showing, wasn't it? And he's certainly changed that around very quickly. You mentioned the move to number 4, coming in when the ball's a little bit older, sort of maybe a little bit easier and hides any technical deficiencies, but it doesn't look like he's got any, to be honest, at the moment. And where'd
you bowl at him, Josh? I mean, you've played. Where would you be looking to bowl at him at the minute?
Yeah, well, I think, like you said, that ball that nips back and you're trying to get him bowled. Obviously, Jofra Archer will be coming back into the side at Lords, I imagine. Not that I'm picking the team, but he got Shubman bowled in the IPL, sort of nipping it back through the gate. But obviously, it's a more aggressive game. Maybe Shubman's taken a bigger risk, but that kind of always felt like the area. But other than that, he's a very correct player. India do produce a lot of technically very correct players, and when I think on those kind of wickets like Headingley and like Edgbaston, they've been good batting wickets, a little bit slower, haven't they? And if you do play softly and the nicks may not carry, he's been batting out his crease quite a lot to try and negate maybe that nip backer and LB and bowled, trying to cover that, and he's incredibly strong on the short ball. I think that's something that allows him to sort of walk out his crease a bit and get down the pitch, because I haven't seen many better players of the short ball than Gill. And sort of even when they go to the short ball plan, he just looks very in control and taps. I know he got out in the end for 260 odd, but he's got all the answers at the moment. And I just think it's a really good comeback by India, isn't it? Because that could have rocked them that first game. Getting in positions where they're in control of the game and did in this match what they potentially could have done at Headingley and sort of push England out of the game, or certainly out of the chance of winning the game. And so, for him to have the hunger to go on and get those big scores, do it again in the second innings, it's just sort of, it makes everything else a lot easier as well. It makes your captaincy easier when you're performing so well with the bat. And also when you've got 580 on the board and someone's been fielding for a day and a half, day and 3/4, that hour or hour and a half just before the close of play on day 2 is really tricky as a batter. I mean, you're sort of coming in miles behind the game against an attack that's been sat there fresh for, a day and a half with their feet up, watching their guys pile on the runs and sort of with nothing to lose. And you do feel tired as a player when you've been in the field for that long, and it's only one mistake that the opposition need as a batter, or it feels like the pitch is doing a little bit more because they've got that spring in their step with a big score on the board. But it's sort of they seem to get a bit more out of the wicket there. And Akashdeep came in, obviously has performed really well. He got 10 in the match, I think. Siraj in the first innings getting 6 for, and in a way, it kind of feels a little bit like one against the head for India without Bumrah in the side. It's a fantastic performance to win the game without their star bowler as well.
It's one of those performances that India put in that the England camp, you have to work very hard not to start questioning it a bit, if that makes sense. So, the batter's going, whoa, God, our bowlers didn't get much out the surface. Theirs seemed to, and the bowler's going, Shubman Gill got 260 odd. We didn't manage to sort of do that either. But Akashdeep just found something different in the surface. And how I looked at that tall bowlers, Josh Tongue, Cass, 6'5", 6'6", you're hitting the pitch. When the pitch is really slow and tired, energyless, when you come from such a height, it almost zaps the energy out the ball, and then the ball just sort of comes off the pitch really slowly. If you can kiss the surface on these slower surfaces, so a bit shorter, hit the pitch but sort of not float it up there, but just kiss it along the surface, then it doesn't have time to sink into the pitch, and it just does everything a little bit quicker. That's how I saw that. And Akashdeep just came in running wide of the crease, virtually nipping every single ball. It was awesome bowling. As a fan, I love watching brilliant bowling, and I was watching that he'd got really wide on the crease, so he was manoeuvring the shoulders and the feet of the English batters, so he's drawing them into playing balls that might not necessarily be there to play because he's wide. Actually, I remember at Loughborough Uni, me and you had a huge chat about me being wide on the crease and you feeling like you couldn't leave me, and it just felt a weird angle. And he was relentless in the areas he hit, but I think he really suited that surface. But saying that, go to Lords, pavilion end, nipping it down that slope, I think he's going to suit that as well. And India are going to be way stronger in a sense. You'd imagine Krishna will miss out for Bumrah. So they're bringing the best bowler back in the world back in on the back of a performance that was borderline perfect. And that's a pretty strong place to be. You look at the Test series so far, it's 1-1, 10 Test match days. I reckon India have won 9 of them.
Yeah, which is crazy, really, to think that. But it's so England won't panic, will they? They certainly know that dressing room is not a place that will panic. They'll dust themselves down. The atmosphere will not be that different, to be honest. They'll be disappointed, and there'll be a few sort of conversations about what we could have done better. How are we going to, counteract someone like Akashdeep better in the next match? Jofra will come back in, I would have thought, and that's, exciting for everyone, isn't it? As much as an England team, for Jofra, for everyone that will turn up at Lord's on that Thursday morning. There's a different buzz about Jofra, isn't there? What is it that, for us as players, we feel it as well, for fans? Like, what is it for you about him that is just special or different?
His attributes are amazing. Tall, incredibly athletic, gets bounce and pace, does move the ball. I think time has made him more exciting as well. We've just not seen much of him at all. So anytime he does get on the field, we're excited to watch him bowl. You feel like you've watched a lot of Jimmy Anderson. You see him every week, but it's still exciting to watch bowl. But Jofra, when he's not been around for a huge amount of time and then he comes in, you tune in because you want to see what's coming. And I think he will probably think, good one to miss. Edgbaston, and there was talk about him playing. Good one to miss, conceding 600, come back in for Lords. I think they do need to make changes. I back-to-back Test matches, so finished Sunday night. They've done both Test matches, gone all 5 days. England bowlers have bowled a lot. And you turn it around really quickly for a Thursday start. I've definitely had loads of Test matches with the back-to-back where you're bowling your first spell on the Thursday morning and you're still feeling a bit jaded in your legs. You're not feeling 100% fresh. And I don't think England can afford that, to be honest. So Cast looks like he's struggling with his feet, whether it's blisters or cut toes. I don't think you can bring in Gus Atkinson and Jofra because neither of them have had much cricket at all in recent times. I think that's a huge risk with Stokesy's workload to go down that route. So my team would be Wokesy. I would play Wokesy again. I know he's ageing, but his record at Lords is outstanding.
Be happy with that, wouldn't he?
So you book him in there, book him in at 8 and let him swing it around at the nursery end. Jofra, I think, has to play. I think the buzz of Lords, if you get that ball in his hand, will be outstanding. I watched him bowl virtually every day up at Edgbaston. He was tramming it through. He looks fit as anything. He looks ready to go, which is great. And then you have a way up between Tongue and Cast, and if neither of them are good, then you've got Jamie Overton or Sam Cook as another option. So yeah, there are options there. Jofra coming back into the frame is amazing. Then you've got Gus for Old Trafford, probably Gus Atkinson for Old Trafford. But remember, I'm actually guessing this. I don't know. I haven't looked at Jofra's Test record for a long time, but I think probably Cast, Tongue and Wokes would average less than him with the ball. So numbers-wise, you're not necessarily bringing in someone who is guaranteeing you wickets at lower runs, but you're bringing in an X factor. You're bringing in a nervousness to the Indian batting lineup of, we know what this guy can do. It might have been 5, 6, 7 years ago, but we know what he can do. And just the excitement from everyone else to have him back around. I think Stokesy will be really good for him as a captain as well. Stokesy will, I know they're great mates. Stokesy will motivate him in bowling in the right times, bowling at the right players. And you can sort of picture it now, can't you? Jofra, pavilion and nipping it down the slope. Shubman Gill on the shin.
Yeah.
That's why he's been brought back
in. Well,
in.
mate. Unlucky Shubbers. But you mentioned Akashdeep seemed to nip the ball more than anyone else. So I always thought as a batter, I'm like, this guy has no idea if he's going to nip it or if he's just wobbling it down there, hoping for the best. But obviously there's a bit more to it than that. So what makes it nip? What wickets do you need? It doesn't look like there's as much movement, and like we said, to get good players out, you need that movement to help you. So hopefully we might see some more at Lords, but a bit of an open question there for you. Like what are they missing? Is it just the conditions? It's been dry.
I mean, I could rant all day on the balls. I think the last sort of 4 years of my career, they kept going soft after 45 overs. I'd love to know, I don't know how anyone would ever find this out, but I'd love to know how many in test matches in England, how many balls have been changed in the last 4 years. Because the first 10 years of my career, I can't remember changing one, to be honest. So maybe a couple. And then it just felt like every single innings we were flipping the ball to the umpire and going, could you have a look at that? It's like bowling with a rugby ball. And then you go out of shape because they go soft. So it sounds like, if they go out of shape, they might, come down like a spiral and nip off the edge. But it doesn't work like that. It's just because they're so soft that then they lose all the energy out the surface. And I think Akashdeep particularly bowled a lot with the newer ball, bowled a lot of his overs up front. So that's why he was probably nipping it a little bit more than the others. And he does that little, I've talked about that sort of little wobble before. Chris Wokes does it really well, where the seam is just hovering left to right a tiny bit, and with that you catch either the leather or the seam. So you ideally catch half and half of the pronounced seam, and that's when it can jag. And no, you don't know whether it's going to nip in or nip out. I think certain actions will help it nip a particular way, but I always thought the best nip backer was way better than an outswinger, because I think your best outswinger you can bowl will probably beat the outside edge, and you go, ooh, your best nip backer just knocks off peg out the ground. So that, I just think they're the most dangerous balls in test match cricket. So yeah, I think the less movement's down to a couple of things, maybe the drier surfaces and the drier outfields, but I think the balls are playing a huge role. The Duke's balls are playing a huge role in the problems that we're seeing. And I don't know, maybe the aggressive style of batting, the batters are hitting the balls more in the first 40 overs, harder to the boundary. Wouldn't be unseen 10 years ago for the first 10 overs of a test match, you'd see 30 leaves. You barely see 5 now, So, yeah, there's a few reasons for it, but I would hope Lord's, the World Test Championship had a bit of nip in it. The sun came out, made it quite slow, but you're always in the game as a seam bowler at Lord's when you just get a little bit of movement towards the stump. So I'm really hopeful for... Actually, I was going to say a more exciting test match. I actually found Edgbaston relatively exciting at times. When Pant comes out into bat, he threw his bat twice. You see it?
I was going to say, he's quite exciting.
He's certainly one of those batters that as soon as he comes to crease, wherever I am, if I'm commentating or I want to go to watch him live, because you just have got no idea what's coming your way. And there's a few players in the history that have done that, but he is someone that is just outstanding. And England are going to have to find a way against him, to be honest, because him coming in at 5 doing what he's doing, even 60 off 50 balls.
He was exactly that. And talk about someone that you want to watch. So Saturday morning, I was up late for a breakfast before our T20 Blast game, and just checked the score, and Pant's in. So it's I'm straight on Sky Go on my phone to be I'm going to watch this guy bat. Like you say, within a few balls, he'd ran down the pitch. He'd lobbed his bat about 30 yards. He'd ended up on one knee, slog sweeping Josh Tongue, I think. And it's absolutely box office, isn't it? And it'd be amazing to know sort of what that dressing room is like while he's batting. Because I feel like everyone's watching. You've got the guy who's batting behind him is up and down, sort of, am I in, am I not, am I... And sort of the coach is sort of half tearing his hair out, but loving it at the same time. And he's just one of those players. The upside is just so big, isn't it? That you just have to run with he might get out to a stupid shot one day, or he might do something that he didn't need to. But we need these guys in whoever plays like that. And we've got plenty in the England team as well that they just make you want to watch the game. And I think, like you say, that's why these games are so exciting, because it's not just someone just helping themselves to a big score in a sort of strike rate of 50, is it? It's pretty exciting to watch.
What would you be doing next in Pant's batting? Would you be able to sit there calmly, get a cup of tea, close your eyes like Bairstow used to have a little snooze at times?
Oh, no chance. If I'm batting behind Rishabh, even like Brookie, I'd be I feel like Brookie, I'd be so calm when I watch. He plays the best forward defence the game's ever seen, and then the next ball runs down and lashes one over mid-off for 6, and I'd be go from sat so calm I probably won't get a bat today, to oh my god, I mean this is ridiculous, why has he done that? And I'd be, it depends who you're surrounded with as well. So the worst person to be sat next to there would be Mark Wood, be why has he done that, what's he going to do, oh my god, what, this is this crazy shot, just I always used to think he was like that when Stokesy was batting for me. Sort of like Stokesy would get in that mode where he's just going to hit it, and Woody would be, I was like, I'm in next. Like, you just calm down because you're making me nervous. But yeah, Rishabh, I think you sort of, when he's launching the bat and it sort of pans to the dressing room and a few guys are laughing, but yeah, the guy who's next in, I wouldn't be able to sit down. I'd be pacing up and down and up and down, just like, when is he going to run down? When is he going to get on one knee? But at the same time, I'd be like cheering so loud when he smacks it into the stand, and then be like, sort of, don't do that, stay in, like, or he'll block one and I'll be like on the balcony clapping, like, yeah, keep doing that, that's good.
Yeah, walking out there, great block, Rishabh, keep going there,
keep it
mate.
there, that's, yeah, battle day, double up, all those old school like clubby shouts. But yeah, I think that's credit to the two teams, actually. For, you mentioned sort of the style of play of guys like Pant and Brook and Jamie Smith, obviously someone we haven't even mentioned yet, who played so well. But even on these surfaces, that back in the day, two good teams who played a certain style, you might not force a result. The game may have just turned into draws, and we bigged this series up a lot. And we've seen some amazing cricket so far, some amazing batting, some great bowling, some great catches, some drama, some drop catches, and it's at 1-1 and going to Lords, which is obviously one of the most special places to play. So I think we've been treated to 10 great days of cricket so far, and obviously, hopefully England can make it 2-1 this week coming up.
You talked about Jamie Smith. We can't not mention him. I know he's on the losing side, but I was actually on commentary when Rooty got caught down the leg side, and Stokesy got a first ball, absolute Jofra from Siraj, and actually showed my inexperience in the commentary box. I had the stump mic turned down, which is really crucial when you're commentating, because it's how you hear the nicks and how you know that a wicket falls so you can go up. So Rooty sort of went down the leg side. I didn't hear anything because my mic was down, my earpiece was down. And I saw India celebrating. So I'm like, oh, he's gone. Root's walking away. But it proved to me how important that like earpiece is for you to be able to react so live. But he walks into bat, Jamie Smith, on a hat trick. So I think I'm introducing him, saying this has to be one of his most pressurised innings. He's played a year of Test match cricket. This will be the best bowling attack that he's faced. 80 for 5, back-to-back wickets. Sort of a bit like, come on then, let's see what you've got. First ball, drilled down the ground 4, and he carried on that way, put on 300 with Harry Brook, 180 odd. He led to Mike Atherton driving me absolutely bonkers in the commentary box for about half an hour, because he was nearing on the record of what's his name, Jessup. So I don't think you'll know his first name.
For the fastest 100.
Fastest 100. I think it's 76 balls, but it might have been 74. So Athers was going on this rant that he doesn't know if it's 76. It could be 74 because it was 1902 and the scorers might have been scoring it slightly different, and 6s had to go out the ground and 4, so it was all different. And he kept going on about it. Gilbert, that's it. Gilbert Jessup. And as soon as he started getting on about it, Jamie Smith started blocking the ball. So it was like he got 1 off 10 balls and then the record's gone. He was on for it. Absolute hell for leather, on for it. Ather's gone about Gilbert Jessup, and the record for England's fastest 100 disappeared from Jamie Smith's sight. So anytime Ather said anything remotely boring for the next 5 days, the whole comment box was just going, Gilbert Jessup. All the time. But yeah, it was an amazing innings, just virtually chanceless as well, just incredible ball striking ability, spin, seam. Tough one to say this too. It was probably our best, got to be, I was going to say best ever keeper batter for England. That's early after
he could 30. Be at some point. He could be, couldn't he?
He could. Alex Stewart probably.
Yeah, he certainly had an amazing start to his career. I think one of the great things, no one mentions his wicket keeping. He just sort of goes under the radar, and a bit his character, to be honest. He's sort of quite an under the radar, unassuming. Talking about Formula One earlier, I could imagine Jamie Smith like driving around Silverstone at 200 miles an hour, but his heart rate not getting up at all. He just sort of seems to be one of those kind of characters, pretty unflustered. Like say, walks in on a hat-trick ball, smacks it down the ground for 4, as if like nothing's happened. And I think he's been one of the great finds, hasn't he? We've had some brilliant wicketkeeper batters over time for England. Like you mentioned, Alex Stewart, Matt Pryor, Johnny Bairstow, these guys. Smith looks like he's one of them and one for the future. He's going to be amazing in that role at number 7. You know, when I first got to sort of meet him, I was sort of, you know, the sort of unflustered, calm character, sort of not phased at all that he's in an England shirt and he's coming in to play against some of the best bowlers. He just sort of, I'll just play the same way and I'm just going to try and smack it and try and not get out. And then the other thing, he's quite a big guy, actually. I
Which is
was
weird
surprised.
for a keeper.
Yeah, like quite tall, but also strong, like real, you watch those straight drives he hit that are just like so dominating and so powerful. Hits the ball so hard and so far and sort of with a sort of check drive, and it's almost like it's a bowling machine kind of coming down at him, and he's just grooving his straight drive. And then I love the way he plays that pull shot. It's just, he takes it on. You know, they went to the short plan and he sees that as an opportunity to score and take it on. And he's, you know, it's a bit Peterson like, obviously not Brett Lee 2005 bowling at him, but the way he's sort of taking those balls on and absolutely what England love to champion about putting the pressure back on the opposition. How can you flip it? And it was 80 for 5 when he walked in with and made that partnership with Brookie. And I just love that top 7 that England are putting together. I know they could have had a better week just gone at Edgbaston, but when you look down that lineup now, I think that's a really exciting, strong, and with someone like Smith at 7, and the innings that he has played, I just think he's so exciting. And it's the way he plays as well. Even the second innings, he's trying to, you know, he's sort of batting for a draw, but he's smacking the odd one out the ground, and sort of could have helped himself to another 100 probably in the game, but just sort of wants to play a certain way and a style that suits him, and he's doubled down on. So I think all credit to him, the way he's batting, exactly that style that Stokes and McCullum want him to play. He's getting better and better each game. I would say, obviously, the game before, seeing the team home as well, hitting the winning runs, that's no mean feat. So he's going to be a really vital cog for England at that number 7 role. And I think, you know, just sort of looking forward to Lords. I think we talked about Wimbledon a bit, being a special place. What makes Lords so special for the people who don't see behind the scenes and, you know, haven't experienced Lords? What you've probably played there as much as anyone in an England shirt. Sort of what is that? What does it feel like, you know, Tuesday morning arriving at Lords for a Test match week?
Yeah, you definitely sense the history. You when you walk in, they've got portraits and paintings all around the pavilion, which I quite like having a look at, and they change the paintings for whatever touring party's coming. There's some really famous ones and awesome ones like Brian Lara, Viv Richards, really powerful sort of portraits in there. I always used to do exactly the same walk. I'd always walk up the stairs to get to the England change room and go through the long room, because my theory was I can walk through it, so why wouldn't I? Why would I walk just down a random corridor if I can walk through the long room every day? So I sort of did that. And then the change rooms, they're small for international standards, to be honest. They're mirror imaged home and away, which is really unusual. It's a bit like football in a sense that a lot of the times you have a big home change room and a small away changing room, but these are a mirror image and very classical, aren't they? Sort of leather couch, couple of pegs, the famous honours boards cover one wall. The staff are incredible, always very warm, make you feel like it's such a special week for you. Certainly you're never a burden to them. They want to make you have a brilliant week. The food is pretty famous. Just sort of, it's like eating in a posh restaurant, really, isn't it? A few prawns to start, lovely warm bread, choice of 2 or 3 on the menu. Used to have amazing desserts, but they've gone out the game. You're lucky if you get a bit of ice cream now. But
have they gone? Desserts are gone.
Well, desserts are, they've sort of been eased out. Yeah, I imagine Baz will bring them back at some stage, surely. But I'd say the only negative of the whole thing is the viewing area is quite small. The balcony fits about 6, and then you're just kneeling on couches looking out of windows, really, aren't you? But that's probably the only negative of the whole place. And that, if anyone said to me, what's your favourite thing about Lords? That morning one, walking down the stairs, where you've all got your England shirt on, ready to go, and you're crunching down the stairs in your spikes, and you walk into that long room, and the members in that long room, you know, it's very unusual. You're half a yard from the fans, basically, and they give this roar that just bounces around that room. And it's quite emotional, isn't it? I've certainly seen players sort of cry and running out onto the field before, where it's overwhelmed them completely. And then you run onto the pitch, and it's just a nice hum, like champagne corks and all that sort of thing. So, yeah, it's a beautiful place to play. And actually, it's a beautiful place to commentate now, because I don't have the nerves of playing. So I don't have any of that. What's today going to be? What length am I going to bowl? I'm going to find the conditions. What happens if they do this? What happens if they do that? I can now just go and enjoy it. Go and have a look at the pitch in the morning, and sort of look at the players enjoying their warm-ups and focusing on the game. And yeah, commentating on now it's spectacular. The view from the media centre.
Yeah, standard of the lunch for a commentator, same or?
Do you know what? I don't know if I'm allowed to say this. We don't get media passes. We eat out of a production truck, so we eat out of like a foil. I don't know, like just a packed lunch. Basically, it's nice in the packed lunch. You might get fish and chips.
As Sky, is there a
I
media
think it's all production
lunch room
for the cameras, for everyone. So yeah, say Michael Atherton, a bad example because he works for Sky as well, but the written press, TMS, all get these bans where they can eat your posh lunches and get Victoria Sponge, but we get truck food, which is, it's fine. I've been putting a few on my Insta stories and getting slagged off for the amount of gravy.
I feel like you deserve better than that, don't you?
Bit better, but I get slagged off the amount of gravy, but I have no choice. I can't choose how much gravy I'm getting. It's what it is, you know. It comes as it is. But yeah, I try and it's actually a bit of a mission of mine each test match. I go around trying to get a wristband for the posh lunches and inconspicuously go and like tear one off and walk in and try and blag my way through. So Lords, particularly this week, there's a Victoria Sponge that is world class. Sir Alistair Cook's been my right hand man at Lords. He'll sometimes sort of sneak me a band and in I go.
Well, I feel like if there's a few listeners that are feeling sorry for you, they could, knock on the media centre door and drop off some cakes, or I'm sure there's some pretty other good food outlets. So if you're short, I'm sure you could put a few SOSs and there'll be a few listeners who might bring a bottle of champagne round and a bit of caviar and a few scallops for you or something.
I'd take a cheeseburger, to be honest. Nice cheeseburger delivered up to the media centre.
You've got your own collection with Laithwaites.
Beyond the Wicket, series of wines by Stuart Broady, even a nice little signature there. But it's been a real passion project for me. Wines from all over the cricketing world. Great memories of playing cricket in these places. And that's where this collection came from, really. Just the memories of that, putting them into bottles of wine. And you like the odd glass of wine, don't you?
Yeah, I like a glass of wine.
Should I keep holding that
the
there,
Stuart Broad wine. Good food, good company. It's always nice to spend time with family and friends and a good bottle of wine.
And Beyond the Wicket isn't the only case you can buy. We've put together our own case for the love of cricket. It's going to be 3 whites for your love of white ball cricket, Jose, and 3 reds for my love of test match cricket. Available exclusively from laithwaites.co.uk.
So pour yourself a glass,
settle in and join us for the love of cricket and a good bottle of wine with Laithwaites.
Lords is one of the most special weeks, isn't it? I think something for me about arriving in London as well. London as a city seems, just bigger and bolder and better and plusher and everything. Obviously, St John's Wood being a very posh area of London, so even just arriving there feels different. The ground being sort of in and amongst St John's Wood, coming in, sort of everything's in place, isn't it? Nothing, no flowers out of place. Everything just works. The history of the place, the standard of everything. Walking, get, as you mentioned, everyone looks after you so well. The way you get greeted as you come into the pavilion, which is very different to sort of normal players' entrance. Like you say, you can walk through the long room or you can walk through the bar and you'll be in and amongst MCC members who are having a bacon and egg roll and having a chat with their mate and sort of, good morning as you sort of walk past them and up the stairs and into the dressing room. I just think you mentioned that walk down the stairs, and it was something I loved when I batted at Lords. You sort of, obviously you don't love a wicket going down, but wicket goes down, I'd walk to the back of the room where I changed. I put my helmet on, gloves, and that view for me of there's only me who can see exactly what I'm seeing through my helmet, and that was sort of something I love. And the stewards keep everyone off the stairs as you come down, so there's a few good lucks, or there's, you're sort of pretending you're in your zone, but you're aware of people moving out the way for you to come onto the field. And then as you walk down and through the long room and you sort of come around the corner and you're inside the long room, but you've got the stewards who've opened the doors, keeping people back. And that view, I can see the peak of my helmet, the grill. I feel like there's hanging baskets sort of there, and the steps down onto the field. And I just think that is just the favourite view I can have, sort of looking out there to the media centre and walking onto the field as you get introduced. And such a special place to play cricket. And for me, just naturally from 2019 just became even more of a favourite venue for me, because the memories of that day, which we've all talked about forever and ever, of Jofra bowling there in that World Cup final and breaking the stumps, and just the buzz of the place. You mentioned the buzz of the long room. I remember being stood in a line behind Morgs and the New Zealand team lined up to our left, and the noise in that long room as we had to hold and then walk out. I think Morgs was feels like we're about to play a rugby match, then we're going to play a game of cricket. So it is a very unique place to play, very special. Absolutely love going there. Anytime you go back, even when the cricket's not on, whether it's for an appearance or any sort of event, there's just a feeling and an aura about the whole place, isn't there? So really fortunate to do that. The lunches we've all mentioned, and I just think you can't really play at a more historic venue, and you feel for the opposition as well. It was always certain players I played against, and he wants to be on the board here. Steve Smith I know he's scored a lot of runs wherever he's played, but remember him batting at Lords thinking they get one or two, maximum 3 chances in their career probably to get on that board. And there were certain players who you just think, he wants that board today. And it was like, you're going to have to work seriously, even harder for the wicket than you usually would have to. And obviously, for an England team, we need to keep Shubman Gill's name off that board.
Someone's going on, aren't they? Someone's going on that board.
Well, hopefully it's Root. Root's been on there a lot of times, hasn't he? He's been on that board a lot, and obviously we want someone in the England team with a 5 or a 10 as well. Wokes and Atkinson probably have the most ridiculous Lords records so far, don't they? So it's a happy hunting ground for those guys. But it's set up for a great, and this is why these 5-match series are amazing, aren't they, as well? You think about playing the same team over and over again, 5 matches set at 1-1, still all to play for. It's that grand slam in tennis, isn't it? You're still in it, whatever happens this week as well. So it's going to be set up for a great week at the home cricket.
Jose, I want to pick your batting brain, thinking about Shubman Gill. He's gone 100 in the first test, big double, 150, 3 days in between going to Lords. There's a bit of an added pressure when you arrive at Lords. You have that opportunity to get on the honours board. It's really exciting. What does he do in these 3 days? He'll obviously travel Monday today. Does he bat? Does he just dry the gloves, dry the pads? Does he just think, I'm feeling great, I don't need to have a net? Does he go to the ground? What would you do in this situation?
Me personally, I'd sort of be trying to mirror the things that I'd done leading up to the first game and the second game. Obviously, there's longer gap, obviously, because he won't be able to do whatever he did. But they sort of, they're superstitious, but whatever he's doing is working. So I would be like, I want the same guy to give me throwdowns. I want to do the same kind of routine that I did, and whether I faced the bowlers for a bit 2 days out, or then I did a few throwdowns for a bit of confidence the day after. And having played with him a little bit in the IPL, he does a lot of basic drills. He actually does a lot of underarm drills, just grooving his shape and his sort of basic, and you think, why would a test cricketer be doing underarm drills that are so easy? But it's just a sort of muscle memory, moving into the right positions, Hitting the ball late, that's something he talks about a lot and practices a lot, to hit the ball into the ground and let the ball come to him, which is a trait of all the best players, isn't it? So he'll be doing a lot of those kind of drills. That's something that I think he'll do whatever the format. I think he'll go into the nets and challenge himself a bit against the bowlers. It's a new week. I'm in a great place with my game. Everything is obviously going very well. So you almost want to bat for working out what is the perfect amount of time. You don't want to bat too long where you start thinking about it too much, or why this is why it's going so well. This is great. I'm going to do a bit more of this. And then you sort of lose that rhythm and you sort of start questioning yourself but at the same time, he'll want to just keep topping it up, that I've got this feeling in this bottle that I just want to keep it there and then unleash it on a Thursday morning. But, the game is a great leveler. I think we've all played enough cricket, and he will know that just because he scored 585 runs in 2 games, that doesn't guarantee him anything at Lord's come Thursday. But that number in 2 matches is just outrageous, isn't it? And I remember Kohli obviously had a challenging series here in 2014, came back in 2018 and played absolutely brilliantly. And in that series scored 593 runs. Now, Shubman Gill is nearly there after 2 games, which is absolutely amazing. And we obviously hope as England fans that he doesn't go on and break any records by Gavaskar, or is it Bradman, who's got 900 and something in a series. So we need to find answers to get him out. But as a batter, when you're in that space, you do kind of feel untouchable. You just feel like everything's going your way, and you just want to keep that momentum and that energy on your side. You don't want to upset Mother Cricket and do anything that, get above your station, that, karma will come your way and pull you down. But stay in that bubble, stay in that moment. I'm sure he's got, coaches. He's actually got, his dad is quite influential and has been a coach of his when growing up. So I'm sure a couple of phone calls from dad saying, keep honest, son, keep playing. And he does travel with some of his best friends. Actually, one of his best mates throws a lot of balls for him, who I can't imagine is there with him at India, but he'll be someone that he'll be turning to and leaning on about his game and about the things that are working for him and what. But Lords is then the unique challenge, isn't it, of the slope. There's something different that you have to adjust to that ground. If you've not played there before, when you're bowling from the pavilion end, you feel like everything's going to hit the stumps, and you can get drawn into playing at balls that are quite wide. And then from the other end, you feel like the ball can leave you from straight. So that will be a challenge to get used to. But anytime you're on that sort of hot streak, you're just trying to keep nothing to upset the apple cart. Keep doing the things that you're doing well. Keep that confidence high. And you're sort of, the bowlers bowling at you in the nets on your own team are sort of, in a way, will be sort of like, let's keep Shubman playing well. Let's give him a few long half volleys. Yeah, make sure he does, don't want to knock him over or bowl too well at the captain in the nets and upset his confidence. So I'm sure that's all sort of things that the Indian side and Shubman will be going through.
Were you same cycling shorts, same socks, same boots, same whites, all that sort of thing?
It's never quite as extreme as that. I had lots of pairs of the same socks, thankfully. So I'd always be wearing a certain style of sock and the same cycling shorts and stuff. I'd always pad up in the sort of the same way. And there's just times that in my career I've felt like there's sort of moments in time where I was doing a certain thing or practicing a certain way, and it sort of had a shelf life, and at some point it finished, and it was like, I need to change something. And actually for me, when I wasn't batting well, my shoes were something I changed. So I would, I'd gone through a run of low scores, then I'd change my boots, the same style of boot, but a brand new pair. And sort of, so when I always look down and tap my bat 3 times, and that's sort of the last thing I see as before I stand up and look at the bowler. So I'll be looking at a brand new pair of shoes, and for whatever reason, that was sort of the thing to try and kickstart me into another hopeful phase of good form. But yeah, I'm sure he's got in a bit of stick, wasn't he, for the black socks at Headingley. So whether
they didn't come out of Birmingham. Actually, he didn't. He got 100
so
black socks. Then he went white socks, got out with no runs second innings at Headingley, and he went White Sox again, Edgbaston, 269, 150. So maybe he isn't that superstitious type of guy.
No, he's blown that out of the water then, isn't he? He's not too bothered. But yeah, hopefully we can find out something that is superstitious about and upset him a little bit for the England boys. But no, it's an amazing amount of runs so far, and that hunger and that desire. And do you know what? I was thinking, even the pressure of using an MRF bat, that those stickers have sort of been, and that company has sort of been pigeonholed for the best of the very best. And you think of Kohli, Tendulkar, De Villiers, Steve Waugh, I think as well. There's not many MRF. So 25 years old, whatever he is, to get the deal with MRF.
Lara, I reckon Lara as well.
Lara used it for a bit. So, there's expectation, and you've got to score your runs, and he's lived up to it so far, which, is another credit to him. But, hopefully we can find something that can make him go a little bit cold this week for England fans.
Jose, it took you 40 minutes to get an AB de Villiers mentioning on this podcast. It's probably a record, isn't it, for you? But we mentioned Lara there, 400 not out against England back in when? 2003 world record. Van Mulder, South Africa versus Zimbabwe, Bulawayo on Monday, declared himself on 367. First innings, day 2. Talk me through your emotions. This is really, really split opinions. What would you have done as a captain in that situation, and how do you feel about it?
Yeah, it's unbelievable, especially to be captain of yourself, obviously on that score as well. No doubt Brian Lara is one of the best players to ever play the game, and broke the record again, didn't he? Twice, 375, then broke Matthew Hayden's 380 to score 400. So quite an incredible effort from him. But I feel like for Van Mulder, he should have carried on. I think if you get the opportunity, and it wasn't like it was, the game was completely, they're taking forever, and they're only on 680 odd or something at the time, aren't they? So it's not like they were on 900 and he was just batting for the sake of it. I think any time you get close to those kind of records, that you should, go for it. I know he's come out and said, those kind of things are for the legends, and obviously it's very respectful and very honourable to sort of say that kind of thing. But all credit to him. You've scored that many runs, you've come that far, and it's very doubtful that you'll ever get a chance to walk down that road again and have the chance to score 400 odd in a test match and break the great Brian Lara's record. So I think he should have gone for it, to be honest. What about you? Do
you think he could have gone and got 399? Manoeuvred it that way, got 399 and then walked off. Everyone were like, what? No way, no, not 399.
I thought that's even more disrespectful, probably.
I don't know. Really difficult one. I played a lot of Brian Lara cricket when I was a kid. So Brian Lara for me is like absolute hero, legend. I think Brian Lara, to have gone and got a 501 in county cricket, a 375, and then go and break it again and get a 400, makes me feel like for the history of time he should have the highest score in test match cricket. But I suppose a huge amount of respect from Van Mulder to declare. But I wonder if in time, when he separates from that game, he could think, ooh, I could have gone and got 450 there, and that's really flair. And but I'm assuming he must be South Africa's highest test score with that. We're talking about Hayden against Zimbabwe, 380, Lara 375. Who was ours? Is it Len Hutton or 360 odd, I think?
Well, that's it, yeah. It's not, Matt Hayden was against Zimbabwe, wasn't it, to go past Lara, so
good
could have done him again.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know quite. Actually, I'm fortunate this week. I've got dinner with Brian Lara on Wednesday night, so that might be my first question. I'll ask him what he would have done in Van Mulder's position, and see, and I'll tell you his response this time next week.
It's nice of you just to drop that in, a bit of dinner with the great Brian Lara.
It's quite flair, isn't it? And I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah, it's actually
had a good week, haven't you? David Beckham, Brian Lara. I look forward to the next episode already.
Yeah, what was that? Wimbledon, Silverstone, Edgbaston, and dinner with Brian Lara. If you'd have told me that as a 12-year-old.
Done all right for yourself.
Jose, what's been going on with the Blast?
Yeah, we are 2 from 2 since I've been back, actually. We played Friday night in a close game down at Northants. We got home in the last over, and as is with county cricket, we set off back to Manchester at 10:30 at night. Probably got back to Old Trafford due to a big traffic jam at about 3:30, 4 in the morning, and then played again on Saturday at 3 p.m. against Derby. But we managed to get another win in that game. It's been great to play with Jimmy again, actually. I thought, I'd never get a chance to play with Jimmy Anderson again, but he's loving T20 life. He loves bowling 3 overs in the power play, then standing at 45 and watching the world go by and dipping back in for one more. So that was cool to play with him again. And actually, talk of the sort of dressing room on Saturday was our favourite youngster from India, Vaibhav Suryavanshi, was smashing it again. He scored 52 ball 100, and so it's like everyone's just checking the score. Like, have you seen what he's done this time? Have you seen? Because when we played at Northants, they'd played 2 under-19 games there, and I was chatting to the grounds, we were playing on a used pitch. I said, what game have you played on here? And they said, we had a couple of under-19s games, and in one of them, Suryavanshi from India got 85 or 90 off 30 odd balls. So that was the game previous, and he's pointing places out on the ground. He says, see that window over there, that broken window? Yeah, that was him. And I was like, that's miles away. And they go, you see that corner over there where that sort of burger van is? Yeah, hit one over there. You see that corner over there? Yeah, hit one out the ground over there. So he's
outrageous, isn't it?
Obviously carrying on his form. It'd be amazing to think, what's Tendulkar 16 when he played for India? And wonder if he can.
Will we see him at the Oval? Test match 5 coming at 3.
Him and Pant together.
I hope so.
Exciting,
if I'm honest.
Yeah,
I checked the score when he was 140 odd, I think, and I thought he could get 300 here. After 25 overs, he could get 300 in a 50 over game. It just, I think when you, on one of our first, I think it was our second podcast, you were saying a little bit nervous for the England under 19 bowlers. He's whacked Siraj, Krishna, Bolt, international quality bowlers, young 18-year-olds trying to fire it down, and it's sort of proving that way a little bit, but great learning curve, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But no, fair play to him. But he's certainly one to watch, and one we will watch with great excitement, because it is very special to see what he's doing.
Well, that's all we've got time for, Jose, this week. Thanks to our partners Sage and Laithwaites.
Hit the follow button on Spotify and subscribe on YouTube.
Next stop, Lords, and hopefully some Victoria Sponge.